Hey, Doom from Dungeons and Doom Biscuit, one half of the team behind DungeonSwag.com, and I came down to paint the second miniature of the June group. The first one turned out pretty good. We're going to roll the D6, and if we get a 6, we'll ignore it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4. So we're going to get this dude here. Oh man, I have a good feeling about this dude. He is super good. So the theme we're going with is green. And that should be nice. Let's get some tape. Let's look at him. So his undergarments, we're going to do an all green. And what we used earlier was called camouflage green. So we're going to put that on all the models. It's a dark, rich green. It's very nice. I got my regiment brush here. We're going to stretch this out. Now there's some like metal chain links or something on him here. So we're going to get paint on those inevitably, okay? But we'll come back and hit those with metal and make it look all good. So it's really hard to make videos on these because I really am having a lot of fun painting them, and I just want to like paint them all at once instead of waiting to do videos. That's one of the big problems I have is like I am not a patient person. I just want to do everything all the time. Even at work I get like way ahead of what I need to be doing. I have trouble getting in there. Seeing what I'm doing. Alright, so we have that our base coat of that camouflage green there, and then there's an upper layer of clothing for that shirt too, so I think we should probably not do that same green. So let's do a different green. I have this absolution green. I think that's really bright. Maybe we don't want to use that. What's this? Malignant green. Ooh, this is in dire need of being shaken up. I don't like this color. It's kind of cucky. Let's change out for something else. Alright, let's go with a light brown. This is Sand Golem. It's like a tannish brown. And I hope it'll look nice. Oops. Alright, we got some fur and stuff on his shoulder here coming underneath. So we got to be real careful we don't turn that fur into a fight. Oh, this guy's got some shoulder or elbow guards here. Elbow pads. We can do those in metal if we want. The last model didn't really have any metal on him. He was like a druid. This guy's got some more options. Some different textures and stuff. I really like these speed paints. I'll tell you, I like all my war army painter stuff, but these speed paints are just, especially when you have a Zenithal Prime and you're not sitting here for 30 minutes trying thin colors. Alright. We need to hit down here on the bottom part of his jacket part. And since that green is still a little bit wet, we want to make sure we do not go over the edge and touch, because what will happen is it'll bleed and it'll look terrible. Alright, so he's got that chest guard there, and I think we can do that in a metallic. He's got, I don't know what the hell those things are. Pine cones? I can't tell what they are. Strawberries? Oh, maybe they're pieces of meat. I don't know. Whatever those things are. Let's go ahead and, I got a little too much of that brown. I'll clean some of that up. Use it up here to bring that a little darker. Still too much brown on there. Alright. So, I think naturally the next move is to go to the base. Let's get a cheap brush. Go to my standby craft paint I use for bases. If you didn't watch the first video, but you've seen some of my others, I forgot to put rocks on these bases. And I just don't feel like I'm at a point where going back and putting them on now is worth the effort. But we can use this as a lesson to remember to take our time and check things before we get started, even if we're excited. I'm just going around here following the line of dirt that I made on the base with baking soda. Being careful not to get it up on the boots. Das gut. Das Ubergut. Alright. I think we got what we wanted out of that dude. As far as dirt goes on the base. We can hit that spear with something. Let's use this dark wood here. Let's put this away before we don't want to leave this out to dry for no reason. Okay, so I'm just going to get this for the spear handle. La 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 la. Okay. Looks like we got that pretty evenly coated. It's going to look sharp and rich. Now I noticed the spear's a little bowed right there. So we can just kind of bend that back into place. When we're done with the mini, we can hit that with the hot air gun when it's completely dry and bend that and it'll stay how we want it to stay. I'm going to use this dark wood on his shield boss face too, because I think it'll look nice. then we'll come back in there with a fractional brush and do all that trim. I'm going to hit the back of his shield up with this as well. I think we're going to do his boots in a little bit lighter of a brown. We have this hardened leather. I think what we're going to do is we're going to do the boots. And the trim around his sleeves. Now remember, we don't want to get this on the ground if we can help it. We want to stay up on the boots with it. Man, these minis are so good. If you were a better painter than I, let me zoom this in a little bit, you could really do some cool stuff with the details on these boots. I might come back and touch that a little bit just to kind of, I don't even know what I'd be trying to do at that point. I'm just not that good of a painter. I mean, I can color inside the lines, you know what I mean, but I got some little fuzz there. See if we can find something to grab that. Alright, got some. Wow. All right. Whatever, it's gone now. All right, so we need to start kind of looking at our model and seeing what we can do here. Oh, the medium brown we were working with. So we got the boots, and I want to do this, these sleeve parts here, like these cuffs. Now remember, if you get a little bit on the hands, you don't want to, but it won't kill us, because we can come back later when we're doing the hands and we can just highlight those areas with some wet paint and cover that up a little bit. I think we should do the this belt in this same brown, maybe. I don't know what this is here. Some kind of little satchels or bags or straps. That's alright, we'll hit them with that same brown. And then those arm guards, I don't know what we could do those in metal or not metal. let's come back and let's do some metal stuff on him and kind of get an idea of what we want to do with metal. So I'm going to use this gunmetal here. It's like a darker silver. Oh, shizen. Way too much. That's okay. We're going to get this silver. Pull it in. Oh, my whole thing's messed up now. You can't see my paint. There we go. Alright. Let's try to hit these little metal ring things. Need a little bit more paint on this. We got to be real careful. We don't want to get it down that hole. Alright. Looks like we nailed those. I'd like to do something cool with his belt. I don't know what yet. So let's come back. Oh, we gotta do this helmet with some metallic too. So right back here, there are some little support pieces that I missed. Okay, good enough. We just didn't want those to stick out. Let's do our spear tip while we're at it too. Let's do a one and done on this metallic. Except for that chest piece, because I still don't know what I'm going to do with that. That could very well be leather scale. He's starting to come together. Alright, now let's figure out with the cloak. So we want to do like a gray-ish theme for the cloak, because we did that on the other fella. And this guy doesn't really have more than one layer of fur. But before we do the fur, let's check out his beard. So I think a safe bet would be to do his beard in a yellow. We did the last guy's beard in an orange, or we could do a black. Let's try black. We're going to be real careful here, because you can do a lot of damage to your mini with a really dark color if you've already got some work done. His beard's black, his hair is black. Really don't want to make a mistake here, because then you got to get back in there and try to fix that. I'm gonna get a little bit more of that black. Just try to get a little bit more, not too much, because we want it to dry. Okay. All right, so we got to figure out what we're going to do about that chest, but first let's deal with his fur. And actually, you know what I'd like to do? I did this on one of the night minis and I really liked it. I did yellow as like a little feature thing on the belt, and even though it contrasted really hard, it looked kind of cool. Something like that. I think that'll look alright. We can actually use that same yellow and do the pads for these the straps for these arm guards. But we want to make sure that's pretty thin. Looks alright. Let's get some green and go up under there on the shoulder armor pieces. That same camouflage green. Because I think that's how I did it on the first one. But that's upstairs, so I don't know for sure. Alright. Camo green. It's called Camo Cloak. That's what it is. Alright. Safety first on this. Boop. A little something there. I'm trying to go really thin, so this isn't like Omega Dark. So it's the same color of green as the other I'm going for, but it's got a little bit of a contrast. And then if you see his shoulder guard there, kind of hooks on that side and then wraps around the back, and it's actually, it looks like it's a different color than the rest of that cloak. So I'm not sure what I want to do with that. I do want to darken this up just a little bit here. Not too much though. Okay. That'll look nice. So now we have two different tones of cloak, so this is where we can play. We know the dark part of the bear cloak down there. We know that was with this dark stone. So let's hit that piece up quickly. Let me get a bigger brush. There we go. So let's get up under here and do that. Let me step over to my left a little bit. I think my camera may be falling down. I have it like on a mount, and it has like these little like pieces you screw to tighten it in place, and it seems like even though it's a pretty new mount, so that it loosens up over time. And Makes it harder to deal with. All right, we are going to do a dark brown, I think, on that that leather there. Actually, what do I got? I got that pallid bone. I have an idea. Let's try this. Let's paint a little bit of gold paint on that chest piece. Because these could be barbarians or Vikings or whatever, right? We don't want to go super thick with this. We just want to get it metallic-y in some spots is what I'm going for. I did cover up the tip of his beard. Son of a darn gun. Just pull that metallic out off of there the best I can. We'll come back and touch that up. Alright. We do need the metal again. This time I'm going to use the shining silver. Because I saw a piece of his helmet I missed in the sun, in the light. There we go. Let's just hit a couple parts of that shining silver all the way out. Some of that spear. Top part of these little rings. Let's do the center. Of his shield. And then we'll do the outer rim of his shield in it too. You don't want to rush on this part, man. Remember what I said. Think of it as drawing a line or coloring inside the lines. Some crazy old dude. Oh shit, look, I got some right in there because I was trying to look at it through the camera and paint. Some crazy old dude in Columbus, Georgia told me that at some gaming shop. He was painting little lines on Napoleonic, like French soldiers. And I'm like, oh, how do you do this? And this is something else that I learned at that same shop, but from a different guy. And that's that you can paint upside down if you have to. So to fix that little spot there, we're going to get a fractional brush. And a dark brown paint. That's way, way lighter than I wanted, but that's okay. We have it out now. We'll use it. And we're going to just come in here. Can you see that? No. We're just going to come in that little groove and paint that dark, that brown, and then to fix the problem, we'll just make some other spots in here that are a similar brown, because leather's not perfect and you can't always polish your shield to look like it did when it was brand new. And then we'll turn that into a happy little mistake. Alright, so now let's deal with his top cloak. We're going to come back to that silver and clean this. These fractional brushes are really tiny, so we want to make sure that we take decent care of those. Now his shoulder piece here. Looks like it has a metal hoopy doop in the middle there. And then around that, we're going to do like a lighter gray. On that fur right around it, and then we're going to dry brush that a little lighter than that even. So let's get in here. And like I said, we'll do a lighter dry brush around that. We got to figure out what we're doing with that fur on his back, and what these little things are supposed to be. I can't tell what those are, man. Like little chicken legs or something. I don't know. My eyes are. I shouldn't complain about my eyes. I have 20/20 vision, but I feel like as I'm getting older, I have trouble. Last time I went for an eye exam, though, I did have 20/20. So let's get that oak brown, which we already had out, that we did the touch-ups on that shield with. Let's do this cloak, this top cloak part, in that oak brown, so that it's different than the bottom cloak part. And then what we'll do is we will tie in the light brown, or the medium brown, with the dark grayish brown. We'll tie that in while we're doing our dry brushing, so it looks natural and not incredibly two-toned. Because you got to figure, these people are probably, if they're not nomadic, or if they're seafaring. So, let me rephrase it. If they're nomadic or they're seafaring, it's very likely that they would have different kinds of animal furs on their outfit, right? But if they are stagnant and not moving all over the place, then it's likely they would have several furs from similar animals that are available where they're at. So, I like to think these dudes have different armor, or different furs. Because they're well traveled. What's nice about having this to look through the camera, I have it zoomed in, and I can kind of see little spots I miss occasionally. Doesn't mean I catch them every time, but it definitely makes them visible for me. Alright, so we don't want that helmet to stay that shiny, I don't think. I'll set it where you can see it better while I'm cleaning my brush and changing brushes here. Definitely got to do something. We got to get that black back out for sure. Whoa, a flying brush. Get that black out and touch up the bottom of his beard. There we go. So we got to do some drying around there. We got to do some dry stuff around there. We got to do some touch-ups on our ground. We got to come back on this shield and pick up. Looks like we're gonna need to do another coat of. Well, you know what we can do on that piece out here. Do that in that black over the metallic. We can pick that up all the way around. just a really thin coat of black. And then we got to do the outside ring of the shield with that same look. We're not going to do a tremendous amount of work on the back of that shield. I just don't see the need for it. Alright, so we're still waiting for fur to dry. So let's come and do our groundwork we need to do. Let's get some new tape. Get that monster brown out. Actually, yeah, this brush is probably way too big for what I want to do. Let's get that crappy, really crappy brush. I'm going to wipe off a lot of that. We just want to touch and show there's some different shades of brown on this ground here. Now you can see that, what you call this crap, that speed paint is, did a bad thing to us. So we got to get our number out again. And we got to clean that up. I'm dipping that in a little bit of water. We got to go around here and we got to clean up where the speed paint is on the ground next to his boots, which adds a whole step to us. I thought I was really careful with that, but it seeped right down into that. And that's okay. Oh, it didn't on the inside there. And then we have a little bit out here. And a little bit in there. I'm just going to cover up that speed paint and just drag that around because there's different colors of dirt. Okay. All right. When that dries, you'll see that it's actually a lot better than it looks. And then when we clear coat it, since the clear coat is matte, it's really going to pay off. All right, let's get some black. And let's do the outside of his base while we're at this part. Cheap brush. I need to zoom out because it's too hard for me to. There we go. And what we're doing here is we're just following the outline of that baking soda dirt. It's just something I do on my fantasy minis. I do a black trim around them. And if I don't do anything on the base, or I'm just like doing a touch up on a pre-paint or something that I'm just trying to make it look a little better, then I just do the whole base in black. But it's not my preference, because on those pre-paints, like this is a pre-paint, I just use this as like a measuring mini because it's just, look at that ground there. I just got some dirt from my flower garden and some glue and some paint and made a little paste and just put it on these bases to give them some texture. And then the black was already there because that's the color the base was. And I've been doing that for those for years, and it looks nice and it's manageable. Alright, so let's see where we're at. Alright, our cloaks are looking pretty dry. That little thing there, we're going to do something with that real quick. Let me get my good brush, one of my good brushes, and a lighter color of gray. This is ash. We used uniform to go around it initially. Actually, I don't want to use that brush. Let's use a crappy brush. These are from like a multi-pack you can get from like Michael's or any of those kind of places. It's just like a multi-starter pack of paint. And if you're doing a lot of terrain stuff, or if you're doing dry brushing on minis, it can be an investment. And if you get a little bit on that metallic, it's okay. It'll subdue it some, and it won't look bad. I just got a ton of it on there. All right, so let's get that monster brown we had out. Now that we have this little brush we can tear up, let's wipe a lot of that off, and let's throw a dry brush, a very light brush. I shouldn't call it a dry brush, just to break up the consistency of this haft for this spear. Just to get some lighter tones and stuff here and there, because we don't want it to look like it's been painted dark brown and it's not been used at all. And that gives it a better kind of aesthetic, in my opinion. We have to come back and do work on our shield. I have a plan for that. Let's do that now. That metallic that I did on his chest, we're going to get a regiment brush and some yellow, zealot yellow. Zealot? I assume that's a Warhammer thing. I don't know, man. I don't know about the Scorbix, the Warhammer guy from DungeonSwag. I'm just the D&D fella. So I'm just coming over that little bit of gold I did with this yellow. Something like that. It's a different color on this guy. It's something that sticks out. Okay. Here we go. Fun part. Uniform gray. Fur brown. And a little bit of this stone, dark stone. Let's get our cardboard here. Let's get this brush put away. Let's get something a little more. What's something I want to tear up? Here we go. This is soft and cheap. This is plastic bristles or synthetic bristles. So we're going to get the same color that our base coat was, which is this dark stone. Wipe a little bit of that around. We're going to get a little bit of that brown. And we're going to try to lighten it up just one shade below. A little bit of that gray maybe. If it gets too light, we'll just get a little more of that dark stone. And then let's get a color that looks like it could be one step down on that cloak. Wipe a lot of it off. And hit that cloak up and lighten it up. We're just touching it. We're just trying to bring layers of depth out. And then we're going to do the same thing up here, but not everywhere. So this is going to be more like a mottled or mottled. I don't know how that word is pronounced. I need to look that up. Then we're going to take the gray and lighten this up. Wipe a lot of it off. Come back. Just touching some spots with it. Same thing up here, just touching some spots. And then let's come around the edges and grab. Let's get a little more of this lighter gray here. I don't remember what that lighter gray color was called. Uniform? No. Ash. We already had that on there. And we're just trying to lighten up our original color. I'm going to get a little more of this brown. There we go. And we're going to hit this this. Just wipe this off really good. Okay. If you guys don't know what a dry brushing palette is, I have one somewhere around here. It's basically like plastic lines or sprues work on a piece of cardboard, and you can look and see what your dry brush is going to look like. You just have to have like a couple base coats painted on the sprue, like a dark brown, a dark black, or a black, or whatever colors you're using, and then you can look and see, like you can work layers down on your dry brushes. I'll look for it and I'll do a video with it. Starting to look like we're getting somewhere with this dude, huh? Let's lighten that up one more. All right. The sleeves are a little lighter than I like. All right, we have skin left, and we have to do something about his helmet and the really bright spots, and then we have to come do that lace work on his shield. All right, so for the helmet, we're just going to get Gravelord Gray, which is like a gray speed paint. It's like a medium to dark gray when it settles. We're going to do the finest, tiniest little bit. We're going to pull this out really far. And we're going to get it on this helmet. And we want to make sure the thickest parts of this paint get in the eyes. We just want to paint this helmet all the way around with it. Darken that up a little bit, and then we want to do the same thing. Pull it out really far, make it really thin, and hit our elbow guards up. Just mute them a little bit. Now, if you've painted with inks, which I know that's kind of like a not everybody deal, but if you've painted with inks, you can do some really nice stuff, like with metal stains on inks. Especially if you have like a, I can't think what it's called, a medium that thins the inks out. Alright, so everything's looking pretty dry. We need to do our flesh. And see that little emblem there on his shoulder? I'm looking at that now, and I'm thinking we need to do something with that. It's just too light. So we're going to get this pallid bone. A very thin brush. That looks better. Alright, let's get our skin. Crusader skin, it's the only colored speed paint that I have. Or the only flesh colored speed paint that I have, I'm sorry. I don't know if there are more out there. I don't have all of them. I have like the first speed paint set that came out. Oh, medic, brush down. I have like the first speed paint set that came out, like as a box set. Sorry, I walked off with the miniature again. Alright, we're going to have to come back to those. So this is to make those a more believable flesh tone. You could leave it like that, and I'm sure no one would question it. I mean, we might even leave it like that now that I'm looking at it. But what I want to do is we're already up at like 15 minutes, dudes. So now we want to do that. And I was thinking about doing it with a white. But I want to get a look at this goblin green. Oh, that is really, really thin. Where did I... Oh, that comes from over here. Alright, I'm going to get that fractional brush. I'm going to get that goblin green. And I am going to paint the best I can. Remember, it's just like using a pen or a marker or a crayon. Don't paint, color in the lines. Now, for the sake of time, I would say you don't have to put 2 coats, but it's apparent that I'm going to have to come back and do a second coat for me to not hate this. We are playing D&D. Well, not really D&D. We're playing the Tomorrow Comes Doom space game, which we still have not settled on a name for. It's like a space opera kind of sci-fi. But we're playing Friday instead of Saturday, because I was supposed to go in to help out on Saturday, but now that's not happening. So people are already wondering if it's possible that we could play 2 days. Yeah, I guess it is. I need some downtime, so you're seeing some mistakes in there, and I'm seeing them too. It's all right. I'm rushing, and that's what you get when you rush. So we're just going to pick out some of that extra paint, use it to go back over some of these darker or lighter lines, and then we're going to come back with brown, and we're just going to kind of dip it in those holes and fill that back in. So it's not perfect. So let's come back and do our flesh, and then we'll come worry about that part. Fractional brush away. Let's get this regiment. Oh, shizen. Let's get this regiment brush and do our flesh. I have this barbarian flesh we used on the last dude, and I'm going to get some of this skeleton bone here. We're going to get some of that and some of that. We're going to find a complementary tone to brighten that skin up some. We're going to wipe a lot of that off. And then we're going to touch it around. Make sure we catch the fingers. I think we can do a little better there. In the back of that hand. Remember, always catch this meaty part up here because that's where light definitely hits, dudes. I mean, dude, don't listen to me. I'm not an expert on this stuff. Just don't listen. When I tell you anything, just assume I don't know what I'm talking about. Look what I did. I butchered that shield. We could have done that with a nice dry brush and got something nice out of it, and I decided to be stupid, so ignore me. All right, I always say don't use airbrush on minis. We have 4 minutes left. Or not airbrush, hot air. Blow dry. So throw that out the window. We're going to quickly get this oak brown. We're going to get a little dot of it there. We're going to get our fractional brush. We are going to get in here and quickly, maybe not so quickly, but I'm going to get in here and try to clean this up. All right, that was much better. That was a lot quicker and easier. We're gonna grab the starter brush. We're really low on time here. We got 3 minutes, less than 3 minutes. Oh, flying! Oh my gosh, I just almost hit my tape with the rolling mini because I'm rushing. All right. Back to the dark gray that we used earlier. One daub. No, don't use that. Use the regiment brush. Okay, get that. Wipe a lot of it off. Wipe a lot of it off. Come back over. Touch the shield. Center of the shield. Go around the edge real quick. Pulling it away from where you've already painted the other stuff. We did that black earlier and it just made it too dark. There we go. Let's clean that up. Alright, now let's do the base and be done. Crappy brush. This is some, I don't know what it is, 10-0 spotter. I don't know what it is. It's a really cheap brush. Clear glue. Run out of time here, folks. Remember, these guys have green in their theme and they're kind of more like nature people. So we want to use more grass than we normally would. More of this green flock just to make it look nice. Grab your green flock. I know I'm missing something on this guy. I know I am. Book of flock. Alright, that's what we came up with. That was about an hour. Thanks for watching. If you like the minis, check out the website, check out the Discord, find out how you can get a free mini. Have a great evening.